Hi, true believers. This is Agascles Damus from GearWorks.com, back with another episode on Rounding Off Infinity. So this is going to be the first episode in what I'm going to be calling the config series, because despite the fact that there's lots of information out there about how to video game capture and record and all that kind of stuff, and the different pieces of equipment, I find just going back and forth on like Amazon and some other places that there is still kind of a need for some information. And I thought maybe I could offer a perspective just based on the fact that I use a lot of different pieces of equipment and a lot of different setups. So I thought it might be good to post some additional content in addition to my gaming content on the channel that kind of covers the different configurations and setups that I use and kind of puts it in some context of the workflow that I use. So this is the first video that I'm shooting. It's a little experimental because I don't know exactly what's going to work. I am using the Contour ROAM3 action camera this week for video content recording. So I don't know exactly how well it's going to work. I'm going to try and kind of align myself a little bit off kilter because where the head cam is, the perspective might get a little skewed. And like I said, I just don't know how it's going to work. But let's go ahead and get into it and get through the rundown. So with each of the different setups that I use, there are three key parameters that I consider in terms of how my equipment selection impacts the content that I'm going to record. And that's quality, control, and complexity. So in terms of quality, I simply mean the quality of the video content you're going to be able to record in terms of audio quality and video quality. The second piece of that, the control, is a matter of how much control do you have over the content that you're going to create. Can you reposition effects? Can you add titles? What can you do with overlays? If you wind up recording something that has gone a bit awry, like if your audio mix isn't great, is the recorded resulting file that you're going to get something that you can manipulate and edit to fix those things in post. And then the third piece is complexity. How hard is it to set up the recording configuration, but also more importantly, how difficult is it to then verify that your configuration setup is good, and also to spot check it while you are in the midst of recording. And that gets a little more complicated when you talk about streaming versus game capture. So tonight is a pretty low complexity setup. We're only going to be using a video capture card and an audio element for recording voiceover, and we're going to be doing local video capture. So when I want to talk about the four kind of hardware components, or 4 to 6 configuration items in your setup, that's going to be your video capture card, your webcam or other camera that you will use for your picture-in-picture capture of yourself, the gamer. Then there is whatever you use for the audio voiceover capture, and then there is what do you do to get the audio audible to you as you're playing the game. And what I mean by that fourth item, right, is there's going to be a key breakpoint. If you are recording over an open-air microphone, and I don't actually have one on display in the table in front of me, but if you're using something like a Blue Yeti or some other type of condenser mic, then you need to get the gameplay audio, what I call the in-game audio, out of the out of the air, which means you do not have it audible to yourself or anybody who might walk into the room, right? Because you're going to get bleed over into that microphone. If you're using a headset, which is what I'm actually using to record this audio tonight with a boom microphone, it's okay to let the audio play out over the speakers because you're unlikely to get audio bleed over because that microphone is directional and is really only looking for audio coming from directly in front of the mic, although you do get some bleed over. What you might get out of the television or other audio should be very slight or non-existent. So let's get to it with tonight's specific setup. The other two components that I will talk about during the series are what software application do you use, and if there is a recording PC in that mix, then that will also come up. So tonight what I'm going to be configuring for and setting up to capture is some gameplay of Lord of the Rings: Shadow of Mordor on the PlayStation 4. So I'm going to go over the webcam element just because I'm not actually using it tonight. This week, like I said, I'm using the Contour ROAM3 to produce video content. I elected that for any game captures this week. I was going to dispense with using the Contour ROAM3 for that, because if I did, that would mean that I would need to intermix those two video files, the game capture output file as well as the Contour ROAM3 video capture file, and then mix them in video editing and overlay, and then produce that content, right? So one of the key elements also in terms of is your level of effort with this stuff, right? You got to pick and choose when you're willing to do a lot of post editing, when you're willing to do some simple, quick post editing, and when you just don't want to do any post editing. And we'll talk about that a little more when I go through devices that are standalone video capture devices that just output a video file with audio, and then that gives you the option to just deploy that content to YouTube, and then you don't have to worry about any post editing. So if I were going to use the Contour ROAM3, I would use it to do what I call kind of off-axis video recording of the picture-in-picture webcam effect. And I would just take the Contour ROAM3 and I would kind of put it on a little tripod like this, and put it at kind of a low altitude, and just point it at me and capture that. And then, like I said, use that secondary file to overlay that onto the video capture file. So primary video capture element tonight that we're going to be using is the Elgato HD60. Now, on the PlayStation 4, one thing that I have to do first, if I'm using the Elgato HD60 or really any video capture card, is I need to go into settings and I need to make sure that HDCP is not enabled, right? So that is a setting on the PlayStation 4 under System Settings, I believe. And yep, there it is right there in the first drill down. So just disable that, right? Which means you won't be able to do any video playback of Netflix or Hulu or anything like that, right? Verify that that's disabled, and then bounce back out to the home screen. Now also, I will also say that when I am setting up or connecting all of these hardware components, I usually have the devices turned off. I believe that is prudent, but in this case, for the purposes of doing all this setup tonight, I'm going to go ahead and risk not having those things turned off. So Elgato HD60 has two primary ports, right? On one side, it's got the input side, so it's got an input for HDMI, an input for USB power, and then it has an analog audio port. There are times when you need to capture over analog, typically when well, I'm not able to remember the specific use cases when you would actually capture over analog, so we'll just stick with the digital tonight. Minor kind of thing in setup is whenever I am going to set up a video capture card that uses HDMI, I always pick and choose whether or not, you know, the easiest thing is to pull the HDMI cable off the back of the console itself, which in this case it is, right? Because then I can just grab that, pop it into the output side. That's going to take whatever the Elgato captures and send it to the TV. And then I'll just plug this into the PlayStation 4 output. So I don't know if I'm capturing this. It's always problematic with this action cam to know exactly where the camera is pointed. I've got it rigged to a set of headgear, so now in this setup I want to put it somewhere that gives me the maximum cable run away from the TV and gets it closest to my secondary PC. Now in my case, number one, I have some tea tonight. I'll be drinking that because my sinuses are always horrible, so that will help a little bit. So I have kind of this high stool, and I'm gonna set it there, right, to get it as close to the streaming PC as I can. Now, this is a piece of kit that you may want to have in your video editing kit, and that is, I have this 15-meter, or 15-foot USB cable with gold-plated connections. I don't know that the gold-plated connections really buy me anything, but I just wanted a long cable. When I originally started doing video capture and streaming and stuff, I used to hook up like extension cables, and that is not as good a solution as just a singular cable. So now we are going to drag this over to the streaming PC, which I'm hoping you can see here. Now I've got now this is a USB 2.0 device. I still like to plug it into a USB 3.0 port. So for tonight, to make things easy, I'm just going to go into my front ports. I actually have two additional USB, so there we hear it connect, right? I actually have an additional two USB 3.0 ports in the back. Now, this is a lot of what we're going to be talking about is how do you verify and know that all this stuff is hooked up and correct, right? So, at least we know that it is because we can hear audio and see the video coming out of the TV. Now, the second piece we're going to be connecting tonight, I must have moved, right, is this. This is one of the many headphones that I use, and this is the Logitech G330. Now, even though it's a headset with a boom microphone, I am actually only going to be using it to capture my voiceover commentary, so I'm not going to be using it to listen to the in-game audio, and really to bridge the audio output of the TV, which normally I would use. It has two RCA jacks in the back on the left-hand side there, if you can see that other cable going into the left-hand side. That's the second HDMI port, and this is a 32-inch Vizio LCD. It has two RCA jacks, and so there are times where I do a setup where I bring the audio out of those RCA jacks, but I have to bring it into a hardware mixer, so I can get both the audio output from the PlayStation 4 from the TV, but sourced from the PlayStation 4, and then also run the hardware mixer over USB to my streaming PC to use for the audio commentary. So I do not know why the hard drive on my streaming PC is banging away like that, but then I'm going to plug in the Logitech G330 over USB to the streaming PC. Now, this Logitech G330 also has analog ports for both headphones and microphone. That sometimes comes in handy if I am using an external video capture card that has analog inputs and outputs for those things, because I can use it either over USB or with the analog ports. So I now have the two major hardware components that we're going to be using tonight set up. So let me just make... Sorry, I got to kind of dork with the action cam here, but I also want to make sure that I'm not giving passwords away. So Windows is telling me that it wants to probably drop my creators update on here. So now we have the hardware set up, right? Now, a lot of people like to use OBS. I am not a huge OBS fan. I've recently started using it for streaming, just to start to compare it against other applications. But I would definitely say that for local video capture, I just want to, and I tend to prefer using the software application that actually comes from the vendor with the applicable video card. So this is my streaming PC. It's a Core i7 7700K CPU in here. I built a small form factor box, so it's a little non-obtrusive. If I had to move it around the room, because I have different gaming consoles and devices and PCs at different places in the room, and it is not feasible, or it gets really messy to run cables from one side of the room to the other. So generally I use this box to record from anything on this side of the room. I have another desktop PC to record stuff on the other side of the room. But if I had to, this small form factor box would be easier to move around than some other desktop PC. So like I said, it's got a Core i7. It's got 32 gigabytes of DDR4 2133 in the box, and I use two spinning hard drives inside the box, although I'm going to upgrade one to an SSD. In general, I still ascribe to the school of thought that it's best to record whenever you're doing any type of multimedia recording, whether you're doing audio or video, to record that to an external drive or just some drive other than your operating system drive, because your PC is probably going to be going to that OS drive to hit it, to potentially grab components of the application from the hard drive. So I just like to know that I'm actually sending and writing data to a drive that's not on the same path. So I'm not sure exactly how much of the screen you can see here, but I keep Game Capture HD just right on my desktop. All right, so let's launch that. Sorry. Alright, so we've been recording for about 16 minutes. I believe it's launching here. Alright, so the PS4 does a switch over when this thing is launched. Okay, so it is up. I'm on the Edit tab here. I'm going to cut back over to the Capture tab. Again, not exactly sure that I've got you lined up so you're actually looking at the screen. Now, there are a couple control points on here, right? So here is the in-game audio. Not entirely sure why I'm not hearing audio coming out of here. Kind of seems like I should be. Now, Game Capture HD, this is the software application that comes from Elgato, the makers of the card. Can be a little finicky, so one thing I'm checking is, where do I want to record the game capture? I'm recording to my D drive, which I hope the screen doesn't give away. Alright, so if I look at this PC, D drive is my main rig EX drive. That's this Western Digital USB drive I have over here in the back left-hand corner. So that's good. That's one thing I always need to check. I only have file output to MP4 checked here for sharing. Some of these things are optimizations that you should go and check out on the Elgato support site to understand why I have these things. I do not have click to always convert videos to MP4 because that will cause it to spool an MP4 output file all the time, which impacts performance. I'm telling it to keep the webcam and live commentary as a single file. Now, if you want, where I talk about that factor of control, if you want to be able to correct things or separate them from the main video in case you get a defect or a glitch or a bug, that is what you do to punch those things into separate files so you can edit them and pull them in discreetly. Excuse me. What I normally do in a given week is I wind up doing one initial recording that I understand is probably going to have a bad audio mix, and then I hope to then correct it right by the time I'm doing the second recording. So updates are fine, hotkeys advanced, I've got it set for best performance, so that's fine, right? So I didn't have to change anything there. Then in the actual device configuration, I check what these settings are resulting in when they're aggregated as far as the quality of my output, right? So we talked about quality earlier before. You never really have to change this. You pick any device and just get the configuration settings right, and it doesn't matter. Like when I go to record on my Xbox One, I use the same configuration. I don't need to change it specifically to Xbox One. So we're bringing everything in over HDMI. We didn't bring anything in over analog. For performance sake, I leave it at 30 frames per second. I don't bump it to 60, and this slider is just something that I've kind of learned to set over time, right? So picture audio profiles, advanced. So everything there looks on the up and up. The only issue I have right now is I don't like that okay, so this is an issue I've been having, but just for the purposes of the tutorial, right, you can go in here and set up your overlays, right? So I have my badge, a badge that I created in Microsoft PowerPoint for my YouTube channel name. This is a configuration item that you can set with a URL, and Game Capture HD will then pull in the web page that you pointed at. I then cropped it and so that pretty much you were just getting my main banner from my website here. And then there's another thing that allows you in this edit scenes thing to put whatever text you want, so I just have my name and then my PSN ID name, right? So again, what's bugging me is I'm not hearing the in-game audio, so I may need to bounce out of this speaker's USB. No, okay. So this is the thing you gotta watch. So when I plugged in that Logitech G330 headset, right, what it did was, for whatever reason, Windows automatically swapped to that as my audio output, so I need to go back here and set it back to Realtek High Definition. Now we've verified that we know we've got good audio capture coming from the card over to the game capture PC, right? And I will tell you, the most complicated thing in this whole topic, and the thing that I still often get wrong, is you've got to develop good troubleshooting and verification skills. Really, you need to work on refining and defining kind of a pre-flight checklist to verify that you have all this stuff set up correctly, so that when you record the first time, you know that you get a good recording. Because nothing is worse than streaming or video capturing for 30 minutes to 2 hours, and then you get done, and the resultant output file that you have didn't capture your voiceover commentary, or didn't get your overlays, or whatever. You know, there are various outcome scenarios, some that are much worse than others. I can't stand spending time recording all evening, and the result being something that I can't actually use to post to the site. So I have verified these two settings, right? I'm not live streaming, I'm doing game capture. I've now verified that game audio is good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick audio test. So I unmuted the live commentary, and then I'm going to activate it. Hey, can we verify that we've got good audio voiceover commentary coming out of the mic? Okay. Now, for me, what I typically do is I pretty much always start with setting my audio commentary at 65, and then I'll step the game down to like 75 for live commentary and 65. One thing you can do, now this microphone is a little closer to my mouth than it's going to be when I actually game. This is probably more accurate. It still looks like it might wind up being a little loud, but I'm just going to let it go. So now we have done that, right? I don't use the sound capture piece of the software app. Video title, running an Affinity game. I'm going to switch that up and enter Shadow of Mordor. Alright, and I'm going to get rid of that tagline that I have in here. So Windows shortcuts don't work for that. Okay, this stuff is a minor issue. It's just going to be metadata that's attached to your file. So again, I want to walk through the big things here, right? So we set up the microphone. One other thing I want to do in pre-flight is I want to make sure that the microphone mute switch is not on. I'll boost, well, I'm not really using the headphones, right? So I'm going to play the in-game audio out over the TV, because as I discussed earlier, that's not an open-air mic, it's a boom microphone. Playing it out over the speaker shouldn't impact me. But again, I showed you how to connect the video capture card, right? Take the HDMI output off the back of your gaming console, put it in the input side of the card, and then take another second HDMI cable, take it out of the output side of the card, and run that to your TV, and that should all check out. Then decide whether or not you're going to use OBS or the vendor software. In this case, because it's a game capture, I'm using the vendor software. My key configuration parameters here are: where am I going to record, where am I going to write the video file to? In this case, I'm writing it to an external hard drive. I always recommend that you take it to some drive that's other than your operating system drive where the application is installed. I've enabled the overlay element in this recording setup, which should be fine if you've got a Core i7 CPU. I would recommend for video capture and streaming that you use a Core i7 CPU. You can get away with a high-end Core 5, but if you can afford it, just go to a Core i7. I minimized the different types of sharing that I'm going to allow for and lock it to the only type of sharing I'm actually going to use. I do not enable the always convert, because that's going to continuously spool a file. Decide for the control aspect, right? We talked about quality control, complexity. For the control aspect, decide if you want to send those out to separate files. There are only pros to that. I guess the cons are, if you're using a separate microphone from your webcam, which is what I always do, if you send these to separate files, then you have to be the one that syncs them up. If you bind them all together, they're going to be inherently synchronized. And then I set this for best performance, right? And again, this is Game Capture HD, which is the vendor software coming from Elgato. Select a device. It can really be any device. Decide if you want the audio output to be HDMI or analog. Set your profile. This option gives you 1080 or 720p. I choose to disable 60 frames per second. You can enable it, but it's going to cause a performance impact, right? And there's the tutorial right there, right? HD output will be 50 or 60 frames per second. And I'm sure what it's going to say. Yeah, normally output is 25 or 3. It says if the hardware is capable, right? So I skew towards lower quality, meaning that I'm preferring performance over quality, right? Capture the stream, get it written to the hard drive, or stream it is more important to me than maximizing the quality. We're going to do no crop because there's no need to. You don't really need to mess with this stuff. Right? If you are taking analog input, you can boost that to control your audio levels there. Right? Then for game capture, set your game audio level, set your live commentary audio level, verify that over the microphone, and write in your metadata. And that should pretty much be it. Now the final thing is, once I go to actually record here, what I'm going to wind up doing is I am going to again, trying to unburden the machine from any excess overhead in terms of processing. So what I always do, this does not impact your capture. This just impacts whether or not the live commentary will be presented on audio over your audio output that you have selected. So you can mute that. That also, if you don't have that playing over, that also, I'm going to kill all the audio coming out of this thing, so I never listen to the actual audio output coming from the Elgato HD60. With some other capture cards, I do, because there's no way to disable it. But I'm going to disable the preview, right? What that means is my PC is now not expending the processing overhead to actually output the audio coming over from the console and the capture card. And more importantly, doesn't run the video playback here. Again, that's a little problematic because it means you need to do something different to verify that your capture is still going. Quite honestly, just after experience, I believe that Game Capture HD is stable enough that I don't need to check it if I am doing a local video capture. If I wind up doing a stream, then I do check that, but I don't check that with the PC. I check that by using a tablet or a phone to periodically listen to playback from YouTube or Beam from my control panel to verify that I'm still streaming out to the site. That's going to be it. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. If I'm lucky, I got this all in one video file, and it's not going to skip, and I'm going to have to string it together. So that's a tutorial on connecting the Elgato HD60 and the Logitech G330 headset with boom microphone to a streaming PC to do video game capture using Elgato Game Capture HD. I'll be doing more of these with different configurations, both capturing and streaming in the future, so please stay tuned to this channel, Rounding Off Infinity, the gaming channel on YouTube. My name is Gasically Stamus from GearWorks.com. Please continue watching, because what I'm about to do is I'm going to swing back over to the PlayStation 4 and go ahead and play the game and let you see about 15 minutes of the output that you're going to wind up getting once you satisfactorily complete this kind of setup. So, stand by. Hey, what's up, true believers? This is Gasically Stamus back with another episode of my gaming diary on the Rounding Off Infinity gaming channel on YouTube. So, I apologize a bit for the video that immediately precedes this one. I had a chance to look at some of the captured footage right before I sat down to do this adjoining video clip. And I can see now that, again, I really still haven't settled into exactly where the Contour ROAM3 winds up, putting the camera focal point when I'm wearing it on the headset. So I apologize that it probably didn't elicit as much illumination as I'd hoped it would. And so that config recording and tutorial kind of was not as effective as I'd hoped it would be, but I'm still going to go ahead and whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, there's like 3 orcs over there. Blast it. Alright, well that changes my plan. So, although you've probably watched the tutorial, I guess you would have had to wow. Get it back under cover. I guess you would have kind of had to have got to this point in the video. So let me quickly run down the hardware and play, even though, like I said, you've probably watched the video, just in case for anybody who has skipped ahead. This may not work that good. So what is this challenge? Invade 2 GOG, the Kinslayers attempt to recruit followers. So I was hoping one of those guys was my principal target.
I wish they could just accept their fate, do what he's doing around camp, then die without giving me any lip.
So I'm not sure how well this is going to work out from a tactical perspective. That actually looks like I can't climb that. Great. Alright, I'm going to give it a whirl anyway. So I can climb.
Don't like them ruins. They're creepy.
But the actual objective is over here. What is that? Can I climb on... R1 start mission. Sure, I will. Let's get several orcs around. So, like I said, let me go ahead and run down the hardware quick before I get overly involved in this. So I am recording Lord of the Rings Shadow of Mordor on the PlayStation 4 tonight. I am using the Elgato HD60 as my video capture device, running both video and audio in over HDMI, so nothing coming in over analog. And I'm also using then the Logitech G330 headset for the voiceover commentary. In-game audio I just have playing out over the speaker since I have a boom mic on the Logitech G330. I'm not using a webcam tonight because I'm using the Contour ROAM3 for video content recording, as you may have seen earlier. And then I've also decided that I just need to conserve some time this week, so I didn't want to have to intermix the Contour ROAM3 camera video along with the in-game video. So, okay, that's where you start the mission. Captain will increase in power. Weaken Sauron's army. Sure.
I'm looking for some good recruits. Looks like I'll have to settle for you lot. I follow no one.
Okay.
Your timing is excellent. I shall now need you to demonstrate my obvious superiority.
Okay, so bad thing is I don't really remember the combat system on this. Okay, so that's how I need to block. Blast it. No, 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 not after all that. Last chance struggle. Use L to move the cursor into the circle, then press the displayed button to counterattack. Get in the circle, get in the circle. Missed my block. Come on. Great. So, I guess this is a tech demo. I'm really bothered that I played all that time. And then didn't complete it. Great. So, can I go after him now? Mark target, new target. Now he's level 9. Great. May the feast.
What are these towers of silver? They are lights to guide us in the land of shadow.
So, where's Tugog now? Yep, that's where I'm going.
Where all other lights may fail. Pale reflections.
Go to the mission start point.
And memories of a lost kingdom.
No, 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 no. Get off of that. So I'm too rusty. That's part of the problem. That's also part of the reason why I'm focused on spending kind of some campaign time this week and really investing time in getting proficient at a game, or at least getting in a game long enough to remember the combat system. So, whoa. So this game is a little kind of Zelda-like in that you can kind of climb anything. Now, no, I don't want to drop it. I want to get on that rope. Why am I not jumping? No, don't do that. I use the zip line. Okay, here we go. I apparently have also figured out how to activate some speed power that apparently I didn't remember how to do. Now, where is this guy? Come on, get up the thing. Oh, that's just where I gotta start the mission. Whew! Just barely pulled off a stealth kill. Alright, Tugog. Now, admittedly, typically, when I do get...
Fill up on grog! That's an order!
Usually when I do get killed in this game the first time around, why is it taking so much to kill this guy? Where's Tugog? What?
So return from the dead. No matter. I will send you back.
Alright. Let's get this done.
Take him to the ground!
Blast it. I think... Whoa! No, no, no!
Kill man, get promoted.
Great. Am I just not remembering, like, what action buttons are attacks? Ugh, great. And the increase in power. Come on! Twice? What, did he just scare that dude off in a duel? Come on, man. I can't target him. Really? So who am I going after now? Ratbag the coward. Fine, Ratbag. Really mucking this up.
Who are you, Wraith? What do you want with me?
If I have a name, I do not remember it. The Black Hand called to me from across the void, and I came.
Oh, whoa. I've actually ranked up. I don't really know. Yeah, I hate these appendices because they like alert you to new content supposedly, but then like you go there and there's nothing there. Wait, is it right there? Ola Grog? Okay, now new tier of abilities. Beat power struggles, hunt captains, earn more power. I don't completely understand this either. Okay, so I don't think you can open any of these up. Alright. Progressions, I haven't done diddly. Okay, but I can unlock new abilities? Is that what's going on? Okay, so I have 318 ability points. No, that's... Wait, next ability point is 318?
I have no ability points available. Why did it tell me I could unlock a new tier? Okay. I don't want to convert it. I'm pretty sure I want to put it somewhere on. What is going on? Oh, that's what I have equipped. Okay. Oh, okay, there we go. I still don't really know what that means, but I swore that message said I have no ability points, right? I don't think I have enough stuff to advance the next tier on those. I think I'm done. Target located at main mission. So I think I'm needing to go out over there. It's just that I can't even see that far through the fog of war. I don't see the one across the way either. Okay, so that's an attack. I didn't realize that. Nice. Okay, so that's the after a jump you can super accelerate or whatever. Unfortunately, there's really just no good way. Uh-oh.
I've had enough of the do. Time we marched off elsewhere. You won't have
Let's get it.
saw Captain from the woods here a few days ago.
Oh, that was easy.
They got lots of soft skins there, though. We'll get plenty to eat. What was that noise?
Wow. I like how you can just kind of...
It's the Ranger.
Oh, no you don't. Ah, come on. You gotta block that. Execution. There we go. I did not see what that tutorial said. Something about hit L1.
First we carry barrels here, then they make us take the same barrels back there. What's in these barrels anyway?
Man, it looks like a really big... Oh, I see the marker. Alright. Oh, so I could,
So where is that top scum, eh?
Where...
Okay, we'll be ready for him either way.
Okay, so... do is I want to go after Rat Bag. I thought I was going after Rat Bag. Really, Pug. That's what I had marked, right? But it says it's locked. Come on. Where is your current target? But he's somewhere where the mission is locked. Come on. What is it bothering me about the appendices for? Yeah, so everything here is stuff that I don't know what that is. Okay, here we go. Pug the Duelist, man, that's all the way on the other side of the map. I'm definitely not doing that. Let's just figure out on the map. Right. Avenge the death of Ike 9934 by killing Orthog the Ranger Killer. Looks like that's what I'm going to wind up doing. So, I've definitely spent more time recording a longer session than I really wanted to. Oh, great. Gotta love the stealth kills. Alright. I should be able to make this climb. Get up there, Ranger. Again, this game is kind of a little Zelda-like in that you can kind of, not quite exactly. Is that? Couldn't tell if that's a bad guy or not. No. There go some bad guys. Great. I need to climb to the top of that tower.
If I was as big a pain as Ratbag, they'd drown me in the sea of something. If you were as little pain
No, get on top. Come on.
That's the wind. I thought I had something. Attack!
Where's that archer that's attacking? Come on, why? No, get up. Killing Orthog the Ranger Killer. Except, where is he? What? Wraith rolled to tag him? Just tell me where he is. Who's that? He's somebody different. Nope. Who's... No, somebody else was out there. Come on. Wait, what are those things there? Or is Gorfal who I'm supposed to kill? I didn't think that was the mission. Screw it. New target. My blade's full. Where is Yokel? Is that Gorfal? No, don't do that. Use a Wraith World to tag Orthog. I know that's Gorfal. Where is... I've got 4 minutes to find Orthog.
Hey, Soskin! I'm watching you, so don't try nothing.
I wish I understood what that thing was down there. Oh, those are like the little hornet thingies. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, that's gonna cause everybody to scatter. Did that? Oh, where's it? There's a different identify marker somewhere. Was it? I know that's Gorfal. 3 minutes. How long have I been recording? Almost 30. Oh wait, what is that? Who's that? So that would be Revenge. Fine. That's fine with me. So maybe I can't find Orthog, but
There he is, Never! You maggot!
It was a mistake to challenge me the first time. Now I must assume you enjoyed dying.
on to Gog. Let's dance. Oh, I caught him on fire. Nice. Blast it. You gotta hit the triangle.
We'll have to find a fight somewhere else then.
Come on. Blast it, man. You gotta. That's 3 tonight that you were just not getting it. Now everybody's gonna level up. Horrible. Alright, well that's gonna do it for me for which is supposed to be a tech demo game session, so I will claim that as a reason why I just sucked it hard tonight. But I just wanted to give a little demo of what your video capture results might be once you go through the configuration that I attempted to show you preceding this video. So none of it was down at the timeline that I really wanted. But hopefully you got something worthwhile out of it. So please check back, and I'll be continuing to do some system configuration videos for video streaming and video game capture. Hopefully they will be better and improved upon what I did tonight. But regardless, please come back and check out the channel for just the normal, regular video game captures and streams that I do, either here on Rounding Off Infinity on my YouTube channel or over on Beam.pro. And I'll probably be kicking back, starting up on my Twitch channel again at some point. So thanks a lot for joining in. Again, my name has been Agasically Stamus from Gearworks.com. That's going to do it for me. I'm out of here.